Before I taught the lesson, I was anxious, a little nervous because I knew everybody was going to be in the classroom. But I was also excited to see how the kids would react to what we were doing because I knew we were doing some higher level thinking skills. So I was really interested in to see how the kids were going to react. For me, the most difficult part was following a script because I never do that. Whenever I'm teaching, I just kind of do what comes natural. I think at first, just whenever they saw the pictures, they were like, well, how can I relate this to government? But then once, one person came up with an idea, they all started thinking on their own, and they came up with some really good ideas. So I think it was just the initial starting was difficult for them. When we did the letters, having to go around, I could see that some of the kids just kind of stopped and were, they read the letters once, and I realized I needed to go around and kind of prod them to, continue discussing what the letters were about. But I think, I just enjoyed listening to them debate each other. The fact that we used the articles and the Constitution and brought all the powers into it, we were able to bring in all the different things that the kids need to know for the SOL test. So I think it was a great culminating activity.
The role of the observer is to view the lesson through the eyes of the student. We want to get an idea of students' understanding whether they are learning the material from the beginning to the end. We want to also look at their motivation. Are they pumped up for the lesson, or are they just going through the motions? Are they on task? Are they off task? We look at social behaviors and whether they are cooperating with each other and engaging each other in conversation and building on each other's comments. The optimum number of observers depends on the group. I try to get, if the students are broken up in teams, I try to have one observer per team so that the observer can write down the comments, students' comments, their responses to questions, their responses to each other. This is all part of the data collection that the observer does, is to write down everything that the student says and everything that they do. Part of the job of the observer is to kind of take a hands-off approach. They are just there to observe. They are not to help or interfere in the instruction in any way. We want to get a sense of how the lesson in a normal setting is, what kind of impact it's going to have on the students, and if our observers are jumping in and helping, then that doesn't do us any good as far as collecting data and knowing how the lesson is, how the students are reacting to the lesson.
When I sat down, I told the students at the table that I was just there to observe, not to judge anything that they had to say or they do. I was just there to watch them and see what they were doing, and they accepted that. And as time went on, they became more comfortable with me being there. I also shared with them that I would be writing down some notes, but it was not about them individually. It was just some of the things that I observed that I was looking for specifically. So we had a guidance sheet that we sort of went through with some anticipated responses and so forth, but not just some guidelines as what to observe and look for. We were looking for evidence of prior knowledge. We were looking for evidence that they clearly understood what we were going over. We were looking for evidence that they were engaged in the lesson and that there was give and take between the students and that they were able to respond in appropriate ways and meaningful ways.
The observers are to, again, record student responses, and there are three areas where they specifically look for information. They want to gather evidence of student learning, where they were at the beginning of the lesson to where they go at the end of the lesson. They want to also collect signs of motivation. They can do this by reading body language, facial expressions, listening to students under their breath, whether they say, I don't know, I don't understand, or if they have that light bulb moment and they say, aha, and they figure it out. And then also record information about social behavior behavior. Are students engaging each other? Are they listening to what their teammates are saying, or are they ignoring them and jumping in and interrupting each other? Our ultimate goal of the lesson, again, is we're looking at lifelong goals, and one of those is how well they cooperate with each other and work with partners in order to accomplish a task.
I think it went well. The kids, they were engaged, and they all got into debating the different answers and stuff, so I think it went really well.